seem to be a constant topic of conversation, in part because there are so many of them either under construction or being planned or seeking approval or involved in lawsuits. In late May, a judge halted construction of a data center near Pine Island, Minnesota, that's north of Rochester, because there are concerns that the environmental review was inadequate. An injunction issued after a lawsuit by the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy. We recently had them on to talk about this on All Day. Well, today, another perspective on that. Let's bring in Todd, who's a reporter with the Rochester Post Bulletin and has been covering this data center project in Pine Island. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, this is known as Project Skyway in Pine Island. Again, we spoke to one of the folks involved in the legal process of this. From your perspective as a reporter covering this, what sense do you get from the community here about this data center? Do people want it to go forward? Are they concerned about it? I mean, are there any reactions to this legal injunction here? I mean, I guess what's the temperature?
So I've been to several of their city council meetings, and also Ryan Companies, which is the developer behind the deal, has held a couple different public hearings where they've invited the public to just come and ask questions. You know, the last time they had one of those, it was in October. There were, I don't know, I mean, their city council chamber was packed to the gills. But I would say, you know, with every city council meeting, every time this is on the agenda, there's maybe 8 to 10 people who, and it's probably the same 8 to 10 people who show up, and they're very consistent in what they're asking and what they're asking for, which is more information, more environmental review.
Well, it does certainly feel like with these data centers and in, you know, the small towns where they're planning to, you know, where they can find the land to build them and get the approval, they are a little bit of the Wild West in terms of just knowledge, just general public knowledge of how they operate and what effect that they have on the surrounding community, because it does seem so new.
Yeah. So, and you know, there's a couple different things there. First of all, I know that, so for example, Cannon Falls, which also has plans to develop a data center there. It's in a different phase than the Pine Island thing, and they're doing it sort of differently as far as the order that they're doing stuff. But they're developing the site first, and then they're going to find a Google or a Facebook or whoever to go in there. You know, the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation held a series of sort of informational meetings, and one of the things that came up there is that you absolutely have to educate the public when it comes to this kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know what a data center is, and I mean I do now.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing these stories. But before this, you know, if you'd asked me, Brian, what's a data center? I'd have said, you know, there's a bank of computers and they
yeah, it's a bunch of servers in a big building for data, which is essentially true, but in terms of what's beyond that and how they function and how they affect the community around them.
And that's what the MCEA has basically said here is, so Pine Island went through and they did what's called an AUAR, which is an alternative urban area-wide review, which is sort of a low-level environmental review. And it's not that they aren't, basically instead of saying, here's the project and here's what we're reviewing, it says, here's what could be a project here, and we're going to set some guardrails around what can and can't be done. So it's, and what, and I'm sure this is what the folks at MCEA told you, is they think that Ryan Companies and the city of Pine Island have known all along that this was Google. And so they should have had a more specific kind of environmental review. And that's what the next court hearing is going to be all about, is saying, and is saying yes. Did they know ahead of time? Did they not know ahead of time? Should we do a more stringent environmental review? MCEA wants, I believe, an EIS, which is the most stringent kind of environmental
the
review.
environmental impact statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that has come up in several other data centers here too, where they have these non-disclosure agreements, like in this case, where you cannot divulge who the company is behind it, and it comes out that it is Google. And people say, why couldn't you just tell us this at the outset? Of course, Google and other companies don't want their competitors to know how many data centers they're planning to build and how big they are and where. That's their concern. But it obviously raises some unease among the people that live in these areas.
Well, and Ryan companies and the city of Pine Island have said that, were they talking to Google a year ago, back when they were doing this AUAR? Yeah, they were talking to Google, but they were also talking to other tech companies about the potential of this. And so there wasn't a signed deal on the table. And if there's not a signed deal on the table, first of all, they would argue, and Elizabeth Howard, the city administrator for the city of Pine Island, has essentially said this to me, which is, we need to be able to negotiate, and if we and you can't negotiate in public. You can't negotiate business deals in public. If Quick Trip is going to build a new gas station, a new convenience store in Pine Island, they would want that kept secret until the deal was finalized, probably, because they don't want, I don't know,
their competitors.
Some competitor. They don't want Casey's coming in and stealing their thunder or something like that. So
yeah, well, I know part of the issues here, we're going to wrap this up in a minute, but part of the issues with these data centers are the concerns about the power usage and the effect on the water system, water used for cooling. Google says this is advanced air cooling technology instead of water. Xcel Energy has been planning to build a separate power generation plant next to it that will not affect then the power needs of the people around. Do any of these things, when people hear them, I mean, how many people does that satisfy when you hear things like that, and how many are still concerned?
Well, for example, with the Xcel Energy thing, that still has to go through the Public Utilities Commission approval process. So that's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. They can say they want to do that, but is it a done deal yet? No, it is not. On top of that, Google came out recently, and we had a story in the Post Bulletin where they said that they're going to take part in a water project along the Zumbro River that'll help restore water and all this kind of stuff. And I talked to the folks at MCEA about that, and basically what they said is, well, that's nice, but first of all, does that really make up for whatever water they may or may not use? Yeah. We still don't know what the specific project is. We don't, Google has said, oh, we're going to use this advanced air cooling technology, but they haven't shown what their plans are yet. And so until they do, the argument on the other side is well, we need to make sure that this is a done deal.
Yeah, too
and
many
I think
unknowns.
That's really where it needs to go at this point is let's just we know it's Google. We know they're building a large data center. Can we just put all our cards on the table and let everyone see what's being done?
Yep.
And at that point, move forward.
I think it's
or not, as the case may be.
Yeah, it's the secrecy involved. And again, you understand it from a competition standpoint, but you really understand it too from a community standpoint when they feel like they are being kept in the dark. Brian Todd with the Rochester Post Bulletin, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. We'll keep reading your coverage on this.
Thank you. You have a great day.
All right, you too.